Hello, Global Theater. My name is Gerry Fialka. Today is December 6th, 2024. I want to thank Rob Grant and his amazing podcast, I'm Probably Wrong About Everything. Please subscribe. It's an honor and a pleasure today to be here with Piero, Golia. Where are you calling in from?
I'm in LA. I'm back in LA last night.
The first question is, what is the best thing for a human being?
Oh, you start with the hard ones. Usually, usually you can start with the soft one. Best thing for human being, but today I will say let's stay on the basics, surviving.
Surviving. Very good. What's your favorite form of information, how it comes into you?
Um, I live a little bit out of the information world. I'm very slow in picking up things. So um, I have a very strange relationship with information, meaning I pick few things randomly that they arrive to me, but I don't look for information. I do still read books. I'm an old school person, but I never upgraded to the online news or nothing.
Did you become a reader? One, because your parents told you to. Two, they did it as an example. Or three, on your own?
Siddhartha.
You
Sid-
you 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 picked up Siddhartha on your own, or they told you to read it?
no, I don't know if I think was a thing that maybe at my time at school was the book you will read when you were like 14.
Yes.
And I'm not a Siddhartha fan. I just remember because it was the first one. I will say the real first love was The Lord of the Rings.
Say that again.
Yeah, The Lord of the Rings.
Oh, Lord of the
Tolkien.
Rings. Lord of the Rings. Good. Okay. So why do you think humans collect or gather information?
Oh wow, they are all difficult. It's not you started for the difficult one. I think information it's a memory of life or an
Yeah.
expectation of life. So I would say people gather information for every sort of story, like of reason. If you think at the beginning, no, the cavemen will go outside, kill a big bison animal, no, and then go back to the cave and carve into the cave to remember how big was the animal he killed, no, and that's a way to collect information in terms of, I will say, social or at my time you will say heroic memories, but today heroic it's little bit out of time. But then you go to the opposite. No, you surf on the web and they collect your information for marketing. No, so uh, and I think it's very funny because memory and market. You realize that in reality information or knowledge, I will prefer to call it, it's little bit the key of everything, once you have knowledge you have power. Used to be like this.
Really good. You covered a lot. What we're going to get into. Thank you. Because my curious is next question is I'm curious. Do you think this need to want or collect information is more innate or more invented?
uh, I think curiosity is part of the human thing, and again, you can start collecting for curiosity, and then it can become a professional operation, or so you go from being curious to know what does your neighbor do, to being curious of knowing what the market will be tomorrow and how you're gonna become rich.
Yeah. Do thoughts create emotions?
Um, hmm. I would say sadly not for everybody. Do you also there is will be important to separate self thoughts by processed thoughts, and what I will call self thoughts, I will call first person experience of thoughts. Like I'm gonna think about something very sad, I'm gonna cry. But then there is also what I will call the indirect thoughts. No, you see something very sad in TV, are you gonna cry for it? The only problem then it becomes when you deal with your own with the direct thoughts. You are sure about the realness. When you deal with acquired thoughts, you are not sure how much of those thoughts are real.
Really good. Thank you. Fill in the blank. I don't know what I think until I.
Oh, okay. The fill in the blank was very complicated for my English. I didn't meant what you mean. Okay. So now you have to repeat the sentence
Yeah,
because
it's the
I have to finish the sentence.
you
Okay.
finish you finish the sentence, the last
Okay.
sentence. I don't know what I think until I blank.
Until I die.
Until I die. That is amazing. McLuhan says, I don't know what I think until I say it. Joan Didion says, I don't know what I think until I write it. No one has ever said that in 40 years until I die. That is brilliant. So do you think you're going to think after you die? Is there life after death? Is that what you're
Mm,
implying?
no, I mean, let's not go into the life after that kind of thing that it's always very confusing. If you think there is all this moment, usually philosopher when they get close to the end, they start to talk about this, and they all go crazy. Think about Immanuel Kant or all of them. Like when they go into thinking, I think. In order to survive and not question ourselves with things that they can't be solved, we should not think about after,
Yeah.
but this doesn't mean, you should be a piece of shit because there is no future. No, you should still think, you know. I'm realizing my camera is moving because the computer is on my laps, I'm a very hyperactive person, but I think outside is very beautiful today, so I thought it was a good
Oh,
idea to sit
it's
outside.
fine. You're coming through really clear. And so you brought up two things, story and narrative. And I loved in one of your online interviews, you quote Frank, no, who was it? No, you said, what did LA teach you or something? And you said, LA taught me the power of narratives. Now, that was an astounding comment for me to read by you because James Joyce wrote in Finnegan's Wake, let me be Los Angeles. I mean, think of that in 1939. He's writing a line, let me be Los Angeles. There's no kooky gobbledygook in that. That's a straightforward sentence. But your statement is LA taught me the power of narrative. Now, in regard to narrative and story, Hollis Frampton, experimental filmmaker, said narrative is born among the animal necessities of the spirit because we're waiting to die. Now, I add this question for you. Can you forget to die?
Uh, I just turned 50, so you hit me in the middle of my middle age crisis. And so no, I can't forget to die. I'm thinking about that every morning when I wake up. Um, but I do think that people forget that they are living sometimes more than forget that you will die is a heroic romantic sentence. And I do believe that we are not living a romantic era. I think we are living at the beginning of the new dark ages. Like, if you think about it, like society today is moving way more toward the middle age than toward the Renaissance.
Yeah. Yeah, don't fret. You're having a midlife climax, not crises, and you're having a nervous breakthrough, not breakdown. Have fun. So, Piero, thank you so much. This is fun. Can humans think without language?
Yeah, I mean, think I survived almost 30 years in America speaking like this, and I still think, I think this connects a little bit to that thing that they always ask: do you dream in Italian or do you dream in English? No, uh, I don't think we dream in any language.
Yeah,
I think dream are budgetless and languageless.
yeah. That's really good. We got a question coming up about that, but this is amazing. Language, this is Chomsky. Language is not just words, it's a culture, a tradition, a unification of community, a whole history that creates what a community is. What do you do when language doesn't work? When language breaks down, what do you do?
I use my hands. I'm from Napoli. Yeah, I think language. If you think about it, a language is a code that we know, we, me and you, but we human being invented to communicate. So every day that a language die, a new language will be born, because we need to communicate, in order to survive.
Yeah. In your observations of humans in general, are we more feeling beings or more thinking beings?
You see, every time I have the split thing, there is the utopia, and the utopia will say should be we are a rational creature with special feelings. And then there is the reality. We live a time where feelings, they are worth nothing unless they can't be sold, and thinking it's a lost art, because everybody is too busy to try to achieve, no? And thinking is the time you take away from achieving anything in your life.
You are a wise human. I appreciate that because Bridget Bardot said, "When I make love, I don't think." And I'm like, good luck. How do you turn your brain off? you know, and then there's a bumper sticker on my street. It says, "Don't believe everything you think." And I'm like, well, you could say, "Don't believe everything you feel."
I know, I come from a place where they tell you don't believe anything so you will survive longer.
That's like Groucho Marx. He said, "Who are you going to believe, my eyes or yours?" These are two questions from Alan Turing in the 50s. One, is thinking a function of the soul?
Said from the man who invented the machine who fucked it all up.
Very good.
I think my joke, it's a statement about no, I think thinking is a rational process that you can replicate. Turing was right, and it's been demonstrated very much. But there is I'm an engineer for training, so
Yeah.
you learn that you can, and now definitely you can generate mathematical model that simulate thinking. What you can simulate is creating, meaning, you see, this is all the limit that I have with AI, that you start realizing that nothing is created, everything is compiled, because thinking it's can be made compiling, creating cannot be made compiling.
Yeah. Well, that's you anticipated the next question, but I'll ask it anyways. Turing's second question is, can machines think?
See, they can think again. They can think as compiling a series of
Yeah.
pre-acquired information. It's very funny. The other day, I had this fantastic experience. I was on Melrose, and they were two of these little carts that now they drive all over the sidewalk. By the way, wasn't it illegal for vehicles to ride on sidewalks? You remember it was all the thing, skaters cannot be on the sidewalk, but delivery cart can. It's very strange. Nobody never asked if it was okay. Anyway, those two carts, they came to each other, and they both run the same software. So they are both trained to avoid object in the same way. So they started dancing, facing at each other, and tried to make. Was really fantastic. I spent like 5 minutes looking at. Then the car behind me started honking. The guy, I think, was about to get out of the car to beat me up. So I let the cart and I went home.
That is a brilliant. That sounded like a Marcel Duchamp art piece. Two delivery carts don't know what to think because Waymos are all over. That's amazing what you just told me about. And so, do you more pursue happiness or more pursue meaning?
Uh, oh my God! Now you make me feel like my life is very empty because uh, I'm not an happiness person. Like I come from a very pragmatic. I grew up with my mother who was very pragmatic. We solve problems. We don't have time to go in vacation. But I am not a meaning person because feelings, meanings are too complicated for me. Again, I come from a science background, so everything to me it's pretty literal. And it's very funny because people they will tell you, they always think that I'm this crazy guy because my work is so weird, but in reality, I'm the most neurotic OCD person in the world. And it's just that there are things I don't see. That's why they may think I'm crazy, but truth is, I believe I am pretty very boring person. No happiness, no meaning.
I don't think you're boring. I think you typify the great McLuhan line. You can't prove you're sane unless you have discharge papers from a mental hospital.
Yeah, I always wanted to have a therapist to do a profile on me. That will be the perfect bio when people ask you. But probably then the problem is, like, therapists, they never want to do this. They want you to go there. And they take notes, and I'm like, I don't give a fuck. You take 2 minutes to judge somebody. It's like,
Right. They just want you to return so they can fill their pocketbook. So very good. So does the brain more detect consciousness or create it? Like, is consciousness there bubbling away and we're more so detecting it or more so creating it?
well, I always seen the consciousness in reality as a sort of tool. It's very strange because now I had the big, uh, when you discover what I will say. I think in English you say false brothers, false sisters. Those words that in two language they sound very similar, but they mean something different. And I just find out this is a sort of no language but conceptual false brother, meaning I always felt, to me, consciousness as something connected to perception. Like, I see consciousness almost as the medical term, like you are conscious if you are able to perceive. I
Yeah.
never thought as consciousness as something that the brain can take or give. But I always thought that consciousness was a sort of like door where things get into the brain, and then they get, it's maybe it's the consciousness is that moment in between perceiving and processing reality.
Yeah. Very good. Is perception reality?
I thought he was. I thought he was. And then one day I saw Donald Trump in TV, and I realized that maybe it's not.
Yeah.
Maybe perception is not reality anymore.
I like Lily Tomlin said, reality's just a collective hunch.
Hunch, it's a supposition, vero? True. Does hunch mean supposition?
Yeah.
Oh,
What's
does the word hunch that you said, the last word of your
oh,
sentence,
hunch. Yeah, hunch. Ask it again. What is hunch?
means supposition?
Superstition. I would say it's more like, yeah, it could be. It's more like gut,
Gut
intuitive
feeling, gut
gut.
feeling.
It's more like intuition.
Intuition,
Yeah.
intuition.
Yeah.
So you mind to repeat the full sentence?
Reality is just a collective hunch.
I'm a man of science. No, reality, it's unique in only one, and it's not a collective
Yeah.
hunch, but it's a result of physics and chemistry.
Yeah, I get
So
you.
I
Yeah.
do believe in a very physical world. It's again this, for me, perception enter the realm of creation art, but if we want to stuck to what is real, there is only one reality. The sky is blue.
Gotcha. Yeah.
That's why I'm saying I'm very boring.
No, you're not boring at all. No one ever challenged Lily Tomlin's line. You're the only person who ever has, and thank God someone did, because it's a joke, but it really is. I think you typified a lot what McLuhan updated Medium as a Massage mid-career to the user is the content. So reality is different to each person, but perception is different to each person. But then again, there is maybe a reality.
No, I would say that definitely I believe in one reality. The sky
Yeah.
is blue for everybody. Like if you see it red, take off your glasses because they have a red filter. And this is the personal think that, and this is for me a very strong point. And you see, then I become very obsessive and annoying. But I do believe that the concept of multiple realities it's what is bringing the world in a very very dark state today, you know, because
Yeah.
in the moment you tell me that uh, I don't know, I went to school for engineering and you tell me that the sky is not blue, you are a crazy person.
Yeah.
That's it. And in the moment that we accept the double reality, the concept of truth takes completely lose every meaning. And it's very strange because today everybody's talking about truth. You know, you hear artists that says, you know, your work should be my work should be my truth. And every time I hear my truth, I think there is no my truth. There is the supreme unchangeable truth, and either we got it or either we are wrong. The concept of multiple truth helps opening the field to everything and destroy the quality of the information, not because you remember at the old time you will have different newspaper with a different reading of the same news, but the event that they were commenting was officially the same. Uh, Today there is it's not about an opinion anymore. You don't provide your opinion on a narrative, but you built a full on separate narrative that you try to sell me as your truth. But again, that's why I like to repeat the fact that I don't think that mine and yours should never stand in the same sentence with truth.
Very good. So, a couple quotes on truth. I would love to hear your opinion or reaction to Picasso. Art is a lie that tells the truth.
Oh, Picasso, the man of ego. Uh, you know, I've never been a Picasso fan, so it becomes very complicated to judge what he says. Like, um, I think Picasso was a lie, and so it becomes very complicated to hear him talk about lie and truth. So I will say I defer to answer to this question because I don't have an attorney to call to advise me on what I can say about Picasso without being killed by Picasso lovers.
That is fine, my friend. But this is Louis Buñuel. I'm for anyone who seeks the truth, but I part ways when they claim they found it.
This is, you know, the word of a searcher, no, like
Yeah.
that's why. But you know, he stands with the character because this is the real difference, you know. Picasso never discovered anything. Buñuel was a searcher. And
Yeah.
is every, everything you see in his film, he never existed. This is, the magic of the real building stories. Like on the other side, everything Picasso painted was already there. He just had the intuition of playing the game at the right time. But in reality, Picasso is convinced of, you know, uh, discover something. It was the Shio, like I know that I don't know. No, the Greek philosophers was Socrates, I think. No, uh, I think in the moment that you know that you are far away from the universal truth becomes the propellant for desire of knowledge. So I do believe Buñuel it's an explorer. Picasso is a bourgeois man.
Really good. You opened up a lot there, and the Bunwell quote, 99% of people agree with it. And one guy finally said, that's bullshit, because if I'm going to seek something, I want to find it. And so I morphed it into another question, Piero. It goes like this: if the journey is more important than the destination, why do we have to name or seek a destination?
Because this is easy. If I tell you, Gerry, let's go in vacation, and you ask me where, and I say, I don't know, we can go anywhere, we are never gonna go nowhere. My wife and I, it's always like this. Should we go for dinner? Yes. Can we go out? Yes. What food do you don't want? You want? I don't know which one you want. Let's get in the car. We are gonna find something. And after driving an hour, we drive back home and we start cooking. Uh, I do think that you need a faraway point. No, I think that's my big problem with LA. No, that I always say, uh, you needing a fixed point. It takes away the poetry of the discovery sometimes. Like. Um in New York, if you want a shirt, you walk down your apartment and you walk till you will find a store and find
Yeah.
your shirt. In LA, and this can give you a big spread. You can end up with a tuxedo shirt or a bowling shirt. Who knows? Depends in LA, you get in your car and you need the destination. And I always say that, like you want a goal, but the goal has to be a poetic goal. Like if you have an address, there is no adventure, there is no discovery. I think there is no accident, no, and I think Freud said if it wouldn't be for accidents, artists will be still making marble statues now, and it
Yeah.
is pretty true, I think.
This is really intense because um, there were these people in Paris in the 20s. They were called flaneurs, and they did psychogeography. They just wandered aimlessly. And then, like Joyce being one of them, he would find an epiphany in everydayness. And so I would often counter what you said to people. Well, we need, a lot of people go, you need a destination to focus. And I said, well, what about the flaneurs? And I said, all they do is sit at coffee houses and drink coffee, and then just they don't have goals or destinations. And one guy said, well, the coffee house was their destination.
But the truth is, if you are looking for the future,
Yeah,
you can't have a destination because it does not exist yet.
yeah.
It's like it's the same every time. It's funny. The other day I was talking to a friend about this. I was talking about the fact that at the beginning, people always complain that I don't share my plans. No, uh, I always believe that I explain it all. I think the problem with the age, I start to realize that the problem is what I say does not really make any sense because I'm talking about something who does not exist yet. And there is no language for something who doesn't exist yet. And now it's funny because we go back to your language question, no? And when I told you, if there is not a language yet, it's up to you to build a new one, no? And in my case, for example, is art, but it can be anything else.
You touched on Tony Conrad said artists break rules that have not been made yet. And I think it's also Saw Louette in 69 said conceptual artists are mystics rather than rationalists. They leap to conclusions that logic cannot reach. That is funny. I saw
That's
that
good.
in an article about you. I thought that is good. That's like, you're that's what McLuhan said about James Joyce. He was addressing problems that haven't even been defined as problems yet.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
that's the magic,
that's magic. Yeah. And so, what's faster, speed of light or speed of thought?
Budgetless, I will say speed of light. Speed of light is very expensive. Thinking is free, but
Yeah,
then, for example, I don't think thinking should be fast. Like I'm a very slow thinker
yeah,
because I think that when you put the time limit to think, it create a weird shortcut because what if I didn't solve the problem yet? No, and I think this is a very is something who's happening now in every field, no, in publishing, in art, in science. Like you need to have your thing, like ready at the right time. The show has to be opening on that day, the conference is on that day, and no matter if there is no solution yet, they do the same with science, they do the same with everything. I do believe that in the kingdom of creation, you should accept that you can't give you a time set, and obviously pay the price of it, because I don't give myself a time set. I live a parallel reality. Like I do something every 3 years, 5 years, and obviously I pay the price for it because you know. Uh, you vanish from the world where every day something happen. Not before you were asking me about information. Do you think somebody today is any more interested in something who happens every 5 years? I remember when First Blood came out. And then the movie with the Stallone movie with John Rambo. I was a kid, and I remember that they announced the number two, and number two came out 4 year and a half later. And I've been waiting for 4.5 years to that movie to come out. Today, if you promise a sequel in 4.5 years, no any production studio will sign you for a 2 year movie, 2 movie deal, because nobody want to wait 4.5 years. On the other side, you start to see the quality of movies. Before you said, like Buñuel, Godard, those people that they did like 10 movies in a career, and then you come down to Hollywood and there is director that they shoot 2 movies a year, because probably they have a high lifestyle to maintain. The only problem is your lifestyle should not influence your creative time.
Yeah. Yeah, and you evoked Marcel Duchamp. He said, "There's no solution because there's no problem."
Yeah, because his wife had the Matisse paintings to sell. I don't have Matisse paintings to sell, so there is no solution, but I still have the problem in my case.
Very good. So Audre Lorde, the poet, said you can't dismantle the master's house using the master's tools. Yvonne Rayner responded and said you can if you expose the tools. What new tool do you suggest?
I would say the only thing we are unable to beat yet is cancer, because cancer comes from inside. So I do believe that the only way to beat the system is from inside. The only
Yeah,
problem, the system is very tempting, and once people are inside, usually they just stay, they don't destroy it anymore.
I love that answer. Thank you so much. What new toy do you suggest?
Oh, this sounds like a dirty question. Uh, uh, I don't know. I'm not, you see, I'm too much an essential person. For me, toys are fuzziness, like I don't know, an extra that it's not really necessary. Like, uh,
I get you. No, that's fine. Yeah. So what do you worry about when you go to bed at night?
oh, I fall asleep on the couch watching TV.
Yeah.
So I'm narcoleptic when I watch TV. So I don't have time to think when I go back at night. But then when I wake up and I really I move myself to bed. When I go to sleep, I have exactly the same list of things that I left undone during the day, and I know I have to start at morning. I don't sleep well. I'm not a good sleeper.
Mine is you make a list of things to do, then you lose the list and you get the day off. Then the next day, you make a new list, and the first thing you write is find old list.
I have a paper here to say tomorrow start your back exercises. And every morning I read it and I say, thanks God it's not today.
So, again, I want to thank you for having me at your amazing Mountain School of Arts. I spoke about this next question, and it goes like this. McLuhan learned from a poet that artists are the antenna of the race. They're broadcasting and detecting the hidden psychic effects of our inventions So we might learn how to cope with what we don't like about our inventions. So I ask you the question Marshall probed his whole career. Why do we ignore the hidden psychic effects of our inventions, even though the artists are broadcasting them to us?
I would say it's the Nobel problem. No, it's like because when you have a dream, when you have an obsession, something you really want to discover, sometimes you forget to look at the effect of your discovery. No, he regretted this dynamite for eternity. No, and thanks God the people they get the Nobel Prize out of it. But I do think that there is this thing that we then artists pick up things. It's very funny because this is a very strong point in favor of science. I see the world different. I see that artists are the ones that they built the future. Science comes after. Like there is no quantum mechanics without the philosophical discourse who generate the aperture to multiplicity. Like uh, but the scientists, it's very funny because scientists are very, everybody thinks they are nerds, but it's not true. Like nerds, they can be very arrogant. Like this is my problem with all the Silicon Valley people. No,
Yeah.
um, there is always the thing that everybody is looking, but Silicon Valley people they can't see art because they do believe that they are the one who do the great invention of humanity. But
No,
was Leonardo that invented the gear, was not an entrepreneur. No, then
no,
entrepreneur they developed and profited from it. But
no.
you know, somebody should remind this to Elon Musk that he's a good businessman. He's not a tinker. Like in America, if you are very rich, you are automatically very smart. But I think there is a difference in between being a thinker and being somebody who's very smart in profiting from things.
Really well put. I agree with you. And we're going to get into art and science very soon. But the next question is, do artists have moral obligation?
Oh my God! Fuck yes. I come from that world where yes, in the moment that you are a cultural leader, you have obligation. No, like that's the famous misreading of Machiavelli. No, I don't know if you have it in America. This the prince, no, that says rules they don't apply to the prince. Actually, it's funny because this connect very nicely with what we were saying before. Rules they don't apply to the prince. It's true because the prince has to need to have a special power, but what is implied in Machiavelli that people don't read today is the fact that the prince is the person that represent the people, and so automatically the prince is allowed to overcome rules because the goal of his action is the well-being of the people. That's why rules they don't apply to the prince. Instead, today there's been this weird misreading of all of it, and translating the rules, they do not apply to people of power. But I do believe that power comes with the responsibility, and responsibility is mostly moral responsibility.
Well, clarify, is that Machiavelli story you just told me close to Robin Hood? Steal from the rich and give to the poor.
I don't like men in tights, but I make an exception for Robin Hood. No, I do think that the Robin Hood story is because in reality, if you think about it, all the concept of the republic. No, republic comes semantically from res publica, the how would you say, the thing who belongs to the people. It's very difficult to translate. No, so automatically a republic, it's a place where we think about the people.
Yeah.
So
Are
in
you?
this
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
So it is necessary, in the moment that you want to make a group of people survive, to have a moral operation to maintain. Then that's another complicated thing, because maintaining a moral operation, we live in America, so better more than everywhere, became a different thing, became maintaining order. And if you think about it, there is a moment in history, probably around the 50s, that the concept of order secretly uh, overlap to morality. No, like before you will do something because it's right, like you kill one person to save a million. Today you are ready to kill a million to save one, if that's the one you want. It's like that's always been. I love trashy TV. Oops. This is the price to pay when you are outside. Oh, it's funny. You can even see it in the video. So it becomes part of history now.
Your
And
your yeah, your point is made clear there. I like that, what you're saying, the overlap. Um, are you more afraid of new ideas or more afraid of old ideas?
uh, but this is the problem today, that new ideas, they sound very much like old ideas. Like we but then it's very strange, because there is a certain point, uh, Nietzsche, that and it's very, very dangerous to quote Nietzsche, because he's a very, very played in reading and everything. But there is this book in Italian, is Le considerazioni inattuali sulla storia. I have no idea how could you translate in English, but practically a certain point. Oh my God, another one of those gigantic helicopters. Oh, I think probably this is time that the studio owners, they go home from work with their helicopter.
But is this book you're quoting about
It,
Nietzsche, is it new or old?
I mean, he died.
Yeah,
Eh,
no, he died. But the book you're talking about, that's
It's it's his own book. It's a
it's
little
his book.
essay,
Okay,
yeah,
I'm sorry. Yeah, I just
and
wanted to say, yeah.
and probably and he talks about history. And at a certain point, he make this very simple but clear point. He says, people do not learn from the past, because we all been through wars, and we all know that war brings suffering and pain, and we still do it. So this is the highest demonstration that we don't learn. So
Yeah, I see. Well, you practically quoted uh John Cage. uh Cage said, I can't understand why people are frightened of new ideas. I'm frightened of the old ones.
oh
And
my
then
God,
and
yeah.
then Charles Kettering followed it up. People are very open-minded about new things as long as they're exactly like the old ones.
Yep.
Can you conjure up your earliest memory ever or one of them?
No, like I really would go late, like late as almost like probably high school. Like I think a lot of my earlier memory. You ask me if I remember what is the first memory I remember in my life.
Yeah, even if it's in high school, that's fine, whenever. Yeah, just an early memory if you can recall one.
Uh, Yeah, I think I was 12, and this soccer player Maradona was coming to Napoli. I remember me and my best friend will go while they were still trying to bite. We will go every morning at 5 in the morning to the newsstand together to buy the sport newspaper to know if it was any new evolution on the Maradona purchasing business.
And so is memory more a curse or more a blessing?
Memories, I think, are blessing, because in a way, I think unconsciously we do filter our memories. I think we have it's a paradox, because I was about to say an unconscious power, but if is it unconscious, then I don't know if is it a power, but let's say we have an unconscious process of filtrating memories, no, and I do think that in a way we all decide, not decide, but process what is gonna stay and what is gonna go.
Yeah. Tell me someone within your immediate family who had an impact on you, kind of like a role model, and what specifically was that impact?
I will say my mom. I mean, it's very, my family. You make it very easy, because my dad died that I was 3, so I grew up with my mom and my younger brother. So it's very easy that my model is my mom. It's very funny, because the like a couple of years ago, I had this big revelation. I think probably the thing that most influenced me of my mother is the thing I really couldn't stand of my mother. It's very strange. My mom, she had this habit to pick up in our house every desperate case of the neighborhood. Like you lose your home, come to stay at our house. Old crazy lady doesn't have a place, come to stay at the house and everything. And imagine, like children, you hate all these fucking people populating your house. And then I spent all my life trying to get people together, no? So
Right.
it's very funny that the how much you take from people, even if on the spot you think is something very annoying. Yeah. And I also took from my mom. I'm not an entrepreneur, My mom was a school teacher. Now she retired. She's 87. But when so I never grew up with the concept of growing, investing. I'm a simple person. I still
Yeah.
have I run everything myself. I go to the post office. That's why I'm so bad in responding to emails, because I do them all. It's just that sometimes it takes time. And you have this funny thing that you write with different fonts and font sizes, and I'm OCD. So every time I see these pages, I start to panic, thinking that I should fix the font before reading and everything. But yeah, uh,
No,
you know,
I love the simplicity of your wonderful school of art. I mean, it is such an ideal thing, and you're celebrating like 20 years next year, right?
yeah.
20 years. Amazing. I salute you, and I totally honored that I was part once. And so, the same question, Piero, outside your immediate family, someone who had an impact on you, and what was that impact?
Uh, Wow. I always said I think my first main impact was Maradona. Maradona was this big revelation that you can be short and chubby and become the best soccer player ever existed. There is I learned that in life, if you are special, there is no limits.
Yeah.
And then I started meeting artists. Like in my life, I always had this gift that I always met incredible artists that they had the time to spend and waste with me. So I really learned a lot. Like when I came to LA was magic. Like there were all these super artists that you can find in a parking lot or in a supermarket. And they will all have time to say, "Oh my God, you are a young artist. What do you do?" And many of them, they became real master for me. I learned so much. Like
Yeah. Yeah, you hung with a lot of great artists. So your mom raised you Roman Catholic. Do you pray?
uh, no, I wouldn't say I'm a good professional Catholic, but obviously, if you are Italian, it's inside you. So it's so much part of the local culture that you sort of believe it, but I wouldn't consider myself an active person. But probably I'm active in nothing in my life. Like the other day,
Right.
I was thinking, like I really miss that. Like I went to China for a show, and I do my thing. I miss that thing of saying, "Oh, I should go to visit this or visit that." Like I am an unmotivated person,
Wow.
so maybe that's the answer.
Very good. And so if God exists, what would you like God to say to you after you die?
Oh my God, that's so arrogant, thinking that God will talk to me like. Uh, the other day I saw somebody that I know had the picture with the Pope, and I was like, "Fuck! What did he do in his life that he could go and meet the Pope?" But it's like So he made. I don't think I will be powerful enough to get the Pope to take a selfie with me. So I don't think God will have to talk to me. Actually, it's very funny because this is maybe an American thing. He can connect with that thing that God bless America that I never understood. No, because there is, if you think about it, the only definition of God that fits every religion, every philosopher. You can go from the Buddhist to Aristoteles. God is the entity who love and consider and treat everybody the same. That belongs to every culture. Even the Arch Islam, God is supreme justice with everybody. And so I never really understood that God cannot bless America, because if God bless America and not the other one, is no God anymore. So I don't think God should talk to me. I think God should do a public hearing and speak to everybody.
I
And
love
if
that.
he really wants to speak to one in particular, I think he should speak to our new president and tell him that he got it all wrong, and he's gonna fuck mostly the people who voted for him. Anyway,
Really well put, dude. You don't know how much I appreciate what you just said. Thank you. Piero, do evil people exist, or does evil use people as a vehicle?
evil exists where good men do nothing. Um, I think this was a quote from Nas, who's a rapper, but probably was recycled from some good text. Uh, I do believe that we live the era of evil, and we live it because we not been active enough to prevent the evil to grow. We let things go like this. And when I say we, I mean also artists. Artists, like everybody, they loved the money, and everybody's been taking the money and opening the door to the devil, I think.
So, really, the hidden question, thank you for that. The hidden question, Piero, is how do you advise someone to deal with an enemy? And I'll set it up. Alan Watts says, if you acknowledge your enemy, you empower them. Coppola stole from the mob and the samurai, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. JFK said, forgive your enemy, but don't forget their name. And Fellini says, I need an enemy. So it's a lot of thoughts. The basic question is, how do you advise someone to deal with an enemy? But first, how would you react to Alan Watts? If you acknowledge your enemy, you empower them.
Hard. You need to acknowledge your enemy, because otherwise they are no enemies anymore. And if you don't acknowledge enemies, you support them. For example, today, not saying that Palestine is a genocide, it's equivalent to support a mass murder. So no, I do think that silence means support.
Yeah, silent. But what would you say to someone, a friend says, hey, I'm being bullied, my enemies attack,
I
closing in.
will I will complete your movie quote with the one you missed. Um, Casino is the movie, And when they describe Joe Pesci's character, they say, you go at him with the fist, he comes back with a knife. You go with the knife, he will be back with a gun. You go with the gun, and he will come back with the rifle, and he will keep on coming back, back, and back, till one of you will be dead.
Yeah.
So I do believe in conflict with enemies. Yes.
Is conflict the human condition?
Uh, I would say he is not, but it is, meaning conflict comes with the concept of power. So when you establish power category, then you establish struggle. Struggle brings conflict.
Yeah. Struggle brings conflict. Yeah. Struggle. Yeah. Okay. So James Joyce was the first projectionist in Dublin 100 years ago. He basically checked out. He said, "This is stupid. Why should I go inside a building and see a movie of a tree when I can go outside and see a real tree?" Years later, Faulkner said, "Sometimes the best fiction is more true than journalism." Why do we have to recreate things in order to get them? Why do we have to go to a theatrical play of people acting out life? Why don't we just live life?
Ah, wow, this is dangerous. Um, I love fiction. I read, I watch movies, and I think books and movies, they help me build who I am, and the way I think.
Yeah.
uh, I do always I when in my own work, when people they tell you, it will be way more easy if we fake it, and I always respond, oh my God, the fake it will be so difficult, because it's very easy to accept what reality gives you. It's very difficult to rebuild a reality who's real enough to be real. No, Kubrick, for example, his movies, they were more real than reality. Uh, Today, we see TV show, and they enter a room, and it's night, and then while they're in the room, you see the light outside, and you're like, motherfuckers, can you get your shit together, please? So building a fiction who's real enough to make you dream, it's very complicated. What we experience today instead is the fact that it's very easy to build a fiction who looks like real, and will make reality shit. Uh, you know.
Heavy. Okay, an artist said, "I'm curious your reaction, Piero. Making art is making your problems other people's problems." Any comment?
uh, uh, it's funny. I may know the artist, but I will say it's a little bit more complicated, because I don't think my problem should be your problem, but so, and I don't know if I'm good enough in my work to make like to do something who's universal. I'll prefer to use an example of an artist that I'm sure he did it right, so my example will work for sure. It's there is that work of Feliz Gonzalez Torres, no, when his partner dies, and there is that picture. It's a picture, and you see the top of the bed, and you see two pillows, and you see one pillow, you see the empty shape of the head, and in the other one you don't, no, and I think that's the most perfect example to answer to your question.
I like that.
It's not about my problems, because you should not give a fuck about my problems. It's about taking an emotion and making it so universal. You know, it's not about being gay, it's not about HIV. It's a supreme art. It's the idea of loss. We all feel it. That work, I would say, is the supreme artwork of the century.
I love
I
that.
don't even know the title for it. It's
But
very
the way you described it, I really understood it without even seeing it, and I appreciate you bringing it to my attention. Very powerful. Do you want to guess who said that? Making art is making my problems other people's problems.
my guess would have been Mike Kelly.
Yes, I knew you knew that. Okay, so
But you see, Mike problems. Then when you look at his work, it's not about himself anymore. He
yeah,
becomes just like a testing device for human experience. But then when he gives it back to you, you know, it's not we all got bullied and shit, but doesn't mean that you experiencing something empowers you, the fact that you are able to give me back the experience. You know, like Felix Gonzalez Torres did it. Mike, oh my God, did it so much. Supreme artist.
supreme.
But there is a billion of people who get slapped, but they don't make a magic art about it. They just take the slap and
Yeah,
then they tell you the story. But experiencing something doesn't mean that that's why I said I don't want to use my own work as an example, because I'm not sure that I am good enough to do this.
yeah.
I will hope to say yet, meaning that there is still the hope that if I'm not good enough now, I have enough time to get better.
I really appreciate your words. I'm learning a lot, and I kind of want to ask you this, but if it's not appropriate, you can just say pass. You know, I interviewed Mike twice. I went to college with him. I didn't know him well, but I was lucky to interview him out here. I was in art history classes with him and Jim Shaw at the University of Michigan with Diane Kirkpatrick, and his art then completely blew my mind and had a big impact on me. But when he committed suicide, it hurt me, and I felt he was too smart to do that. But you know, he made his decision, and I asked five major Mike Kelly people friends why he did it, and I got five different answers. And is it okay if I ask you why do you think he did, or you rather not talk about it?
I don't think I will be able to have a good answer because I don't think I was close enough to Mike to know
Yeah,
why he made such a hard decision. And I think in LA there is people who were very, very close to him, and they have the right to give an answer.
yeah.
I like to say I was and I am a huge Mike Kelly fan, and you know, a real punk, they never die of age. No,
Yeah.
real punks, they die on stage, and I think Mike made a point about being able to be the greatest artist, and to arrive to a point where he was acknowledged as the supreme artist, and this was not enough to buy his silence, so
Yeah.
I think he was a very important example for artists. I think he never bent.
Yes, really. Thank you. So, what was your tipping point, Piero, when you're you're into soccer growing up, and then you're like, I want to be an engineer, and then I want to be an artist, or where you're calling, maybe not saying I want to be, but your calling directed you so to studying engineering or studying art, your two tipping points, engineer and then art.
You see, this is we go back connect to before when I said I really am. I can't make plan. I
Yeah.
went to engineering because. And my time in Italy was mandatory to serve in the army for 1 year. And university gave you the option to postpone. Uh, Medical school and engineering, they are the one that allowed you to postpone up to 7 years. So since I really didn't want to go to the army, I decided that I should do one who offered you the most long postponement. And I faint if I see blood, so automatically my option was only engineering.
See
And
blood.
then again, I finished my exams in engineering. I had to wait to discuss the thesis. I saved the money for many years because I want to have my graduation trip in New York for 2 weeks. And I was there waiting for the thesis, and I was like, why the fuck should I wait? Maybe I go now and then I come back and I discuss the thesis. And I went to New York for 2 weeks and I never went back.
Wow.
And
But wait,
yeah,
did your mom take you to art museums and galleries growing up, have art books around?
see, this is special of my mom. My mom, she took us around all over Europe, but old school way with the train, backpack, sleeping on people couches. But we went to all over Europe. We visited museums. To be honest, I really hated museums. The only museums I will really love, they were the medieval armor and swords, but that was not really my mom's territory. So I think my only impression, and it's very funny because I was talking about it just like literally like 3 4 days ago with his wife. uh, I remember my mom took us to London, took 2 days and a half on the train from Napoli to London at the time. Very funny. Now you do it in a 2 hour flight for 69 euros. But at the time we did the 2.5 days on the train, and we went to see, I think was the Tate. And I remember that I was so bored by this boring museum with the art and everything. And a certain point, it was a film, and I have this clear memory today. I know very well. My mom told me because they didn't let me go in because children couldn't go in. Was a film about a guy who was shot in his shoulder. And it's very funny because I didn't know artist, I didn't know nothing, but today I know it's Chris Burden. And so there is a funny, long path who brought me from when I was 11-year-old and I saw a guy shot in his shoulder to 30 years after to having the luck to meet that guy and sit at the same table. Oh wait, sit at the same table. I mean literally. I don't mean that I'm good like Chris Burden. Please don't misunderstanding. I just meant physically, like
Yeah.
that I ate at the same table, not morally. I mean, morally, yes. I mean, not in the level of career. I know Chris Burden is way better than me.
Yeah, Chris did his art right here in Venice too, and he made a huge impact on me as well. So, we got 5 more minutes, and I asked for 90, and I hope we can do a part two because we hardly got into art education, your school, and a lot more. But I appreciate your time, Piero. Maybe we could end with two more. Do you have time to go a few more minutes?
Yeah, please.
Okay. A screenwriting teacher told me great art is when you can clearly see the maker, the intention of the maker. Stanley Kubrick says great art is when you can clearly not see the intention of the maker. What role does intention play in your creative process when you're making a piece of your art?
Oh, it's funny because I thought Kubrick would go on the other side, even if I am a big fan of him, because I think the other side is the wrong one. I think intention are a limit, no? Because when you establish an intention, you're establishing based on what exists, and what we do does not exist yet. So I don't believe in intentions. Like I do believe in intuition. Like you get an idea and you think it's a great idea and you go that way, but then it's where the reality will smash you back that you are gonna land. No.
Duchamp said there's no art without an audience. How much are you thinking of your viewer when you're making your art?
Uh, I think Duchamp it's very easy to misinterpret, meaning uh, your audience is fundamental because if nobody see what you do does not exist in reality because the only thing that uh, keeps things from vanishing is memory. You can take all the digital pictures you want, but one day the power will went away. And what we will have left is either Alexandria, but they burned it. So what is left is people memory. And I do believe that memory is the key to what we do.
It is, yes. So I want to do the art and science. I want to do so much more. We hopefully can do part two, but let's end this part one with the McLuhan quote because we met through you reaching out to me for the Mountain School of Arts.
Yeah.
And this is McLuhan in 1957. It's misleading to suppose there's any basic difference between education and entertainment. It's like setting up a distinction between didactic and lyric poetry on the ground that one teaches and the other one pleases. However, it's always been true that whatever pleases teaches more effectively. I'm curious your thoughts on that. Whatever pleases teaches more effectively. Any response to that line?
Grinching. I always say that what school gave me the worst was disagreement. No, like it's very strange because now there is this weird relationship with education. People, they want to learn what they want to learn.
Yeah.
Uh, Instead, I think what I learned at school was disagreeing with what they were telling me. And I think that's, the perfect conclusion for today. The idea that I think it's all about, you know, disagreeing and delivering an alternative that never exists, who makes people happy.
But it's funny because so much of our talk today, you would reference movies and they're considered entertainment. Some people consider them art. I mean, it's both. There's a mixture. I think what you're saying is, most people go, whatever pleases teaches more effectively. Yeah, I agree with that. And one guy about a month ago goes, no, whatever displeases teaches more effectively. So I like this wide open, more comprehensive view. But, is that what you're saying? That whatever displeases teaches more effectively or not?
No, I would say whatever happens should teach you something, in good or bad. No,
Yeah.
because that's we go back about learning from experience. I think knowledge is its experience. No, it's like education is somebody who guide you through experience. So in a way, entertainment can be part of the experience. It's like the complicated part of entertainment. I mean, the complicated part of today for education is again the concept of what is real and what is not, because I think the problem in your last quote, and I will close with a question more than an answer. The problem in your last quote is not what's the difference between entertainment and education and how do they relate to each other, but what part of entertainment you can consider education, and what part of entertainment you can consider manipulation.
Manipulation. Oh my God. I thought you were, that's heavy because that's what I felt in that living room with your students was an amazing buzz that it was not me, it was us. And I was the student as much as they were the student. And I was learning from them. And it was an exchange reciprocal. It's like what caused McLuhan to write a book called The City as Classroom. I mean, in my opinion, that's sort of like what you do. The city is the classroom for your college, your school, and that comes out of Museum Without Walls, and the ultimate, the center without margins.
I mean, Gaydebord said, the city is your platform.
Yeah. What does that mean? Guy Debord said the city is your.
Platform, meaning that the city for an artist is the equivalent of what the canvas used to be.
Yeah.
Your work can be scaled to what is around you in terms as physical and people, no?
Yeah. It's like you don't take the bus to your school, you go to the gallery and see the bus all crunched into the gallery. Piero, I really appreciate your time and energy. Please, I hope you'll do a part 2. We can do it 4, 5, 6 months down the line, whenever you want. And even though I'm going to hit the end broadcast button, I hope this never ends and we can keep talking forever and ever.
Thank you. Ciao, ciao. See you soon.
Thank you so much.